Hey guys, it's Glenda, and in today's video I'm going to take you on a tour of a digital practice journal. Now, a digital practice journal is not really my jam, but I've set one up just to see what it was like. I might use it sometimes, I don't know, but for some other people they do definitely prefer a digital version to what I'm calling an analog version, or the hard copy, the handwritten notebook. So let me take you over to my Trello app. So Trello is a free app that you can use. It works on a Kanban board system. They do have a paid version where you can add things. And one thing that I found was this add-on called Streak. So if you want to track your practice days and see how many days in a row you can practice, you could add on Streak. And I think they have that for like the business version of Trello. But I'm not going to do it because, like I said, I'm not sure I really will use a digital version of a practice journal. But anyway, okay, so this is the board that I set up. You can set up all kinds of different boards so you can categorize things. So this board would be my practice journal board, and I can create other boards for other things. I went with a purple background because all of my practice journals have been purple. Surprise! But you can change them. So if I go into the settings somewhere, let's see, this is a little different because I set this up on my laptop. But I won't bog you down with all of that. I'm sure there are tutorials everywhere on YouTube for this. But anyway, you can change the background. You can do colors, pictures, etc. So like I said, I chose the purple background because I have had a purple practice journal and I'm trying to nod to my tradition here. So the first thing I set up was a list. The first column that you see, it says this quarter. So that's going to house my goals for this current quarter. So I made a card. And if I click on the card, you can see how it expands. You can change the cover. I have a winter image, but you could do just solid colors. You could add your own photos, whatever. And then my end of quarter for myself. See, I do it a little weird. My winter quarter is December through February. And I mark a due date here. So that's a nice thing about Trello. If you need some more accountability, instead of just writing out lists and getting to them whenever, if that doesn't actually make you stick to things, but setting a deadline and having reminders from your device pop up when those things are due, then Trello would be a really good option for your practice journal. Because I can set, as you see here, due February 28th. The last day of February, or the end of my winter quarter, is when all of my winter goals are due. Okay, you can set different labels for everything. You can add other people to this. You can set in a checklist item. So when I actually input my winter goals, if I actually try to do the digital route, then I can write a checklist for each goal that I'd like to complete. And then there's a log of activity. So this is helpful if other people are in on your board. You can see what they're doing. So when I'm done, I can just hit check, and then you'll see on the card itself, it's highlighted in green. And then let me uncheck it so you can see what it does. See it, and then it just gives you the date of when it's due. Okay, so the next column I have is the scales and arpeggios. So that's my next list. And what you can do is you can set dates again. You can see this is due by January 31st. So I'm trying to do all of my winter scales. I'm trying to finish those up by the end of January, or however I want to do it is fine. But the point is that you can set due dates for each individual card. You can click on the card, and again, you can add notes to it, descriptions. The really cool thing is that you can add attachments. So I can choose other things from Trello. I could choose a file, scan a document. So if I were taking lessons and I got a document from my teacher, like a page for scales, or my teacher wrote out the scales, I could scan it in and then have a copy of it right in Trello. Or I could attach a link. So if there's a video I like to play along with on YouTube, I could attach that link here. And then when I go to this card, I open it, my link is right there. I don't have to go outside of the app to search for other things. So that's really nice. And then if I have specific things I need to work on the scale, again, I can create a checklist. for those things. Okay. Now, if I finish this scale, say the A major scale, if I finish it, I could check it off like that, or I can slide it across the Kanban board and put it in my complete category if I want to take it out of that scales and arpeggio list. Or for me, it might make more sense, because these are things I do over and over again. I can take the card and then just file it all the way down at the bottom of the list. That way, as I go through the scales this year, I'm just pulling them down, and then by the time I get back to the end of the scale list, everything will be back in the order that I started in. So that's one of the benefits of going digital using the Trello, is that it's a one-time setup. So you can set up all the things that you do over and over again for review, and just like I said, you can put the card at the bottom, you can move it into the completed section, so you don't have to keep completing cards. Plus, you can leave your notes in here, it'll keep everything, and then again, the activity list on the bottom, you'll see the last time that you added something to it or the last time that you practiced, so that can help you gauge when you might want to review something again. The next list that I have is my review list. This is my review schedule for Suzuki book pieces. I like to keep those under my fingers so that I am fresh and ready to go for teaching all of these pieces. So I have each month, and then I assign one Suzuki book per month. And then in November, I can go through books 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. And then December, books 6 through 10. If there were any pieces that needed a little extra polishing or review, and I just didn't have time to fit it in the month that it was originally assigned to. So I just keep this here as reference. So I wrote out a card for each piece in Suzuki Book 1 because that's up first for January. And again, you can do all the same stuff. You can add checklists, you can make notes, you can set due dates, you can share it with people, you can add it with people. So if you have a child who has a digital practice board, and then you personally have a Trello, then they can add you, and then you can see what they're doing on there, or you can add stuff to it for them, like links to videos or digital recordings, digital sheet music, etc. Again, you can, when you finish it, you can pull it down to the bottom so it'll loop back around, and then you don't have to set anything up. Or if you just like to take it off the list completely, again, you can just tap it and slide it over to the completed section. All right, let's put that back in the right place. Right. Okay. And then the next section that I have is my Etudes section. So I made a card for this, and then the card cover, again, you can make a picture. Let's see if it'll let me edit. How do I change the card picture? Anyway, so you can change the colors. I think if I fool around with it a little longer, I'd be able to figure it out on the iPad. But again, I set this all up on my laptop, and I would actually use it through the iPad. So any changes would probably be easier to make on the laptop. So again, this is for an entire book. So I would not make a card for every single etude, but I would make one card for a book, and then I made a checklist for all of the etudes in here. So as I complete them, I can just check them off. And the nice thing about this is, if you set up a card for a book, is that as you're checking things off like that, it tells you, it says, oh, you have so many checked off out of. So there's 77, and it's saying I've got 5 out of 77 checked off. So it's a quick way to see how close I am to finishing it if you need that visual component. Now, on the laptop version, they have a little progress bar here, so it has like 0% and then 100% completed, and then as you're checking things off, the progress bar increases. So that might be something to look at if you check it out on the desktop laptop version. And then in my next column, or list as they call it, is my project template. So this is what I would use for any pieces that I'm learning. And then I have different categories like listen, and then I have a checklist for different intonation, rhythm, bowings, that sort of thing. What's nice about Trello is that they make it really fast to add things and edit things. So it remembers your lists. So let's see if it will let me add a checklist that I've added before in the iPad version. So if I tap on checklist, let's see. Yeah, I don't know that it's going to let me do it here, but for example, phrasing. Okay, so I have this phrasing checklist. Let's see if I do it this way. No. Okay, so for the phrasing checklist, if everything under the checklist, like the A, B, C, D, is something I want to copy and I want to use that again for another checklist, on the desktop version, you can add checklists and it gives you a drop-down menu where you can select a checklist that you've already added and just rename it something different. So right here where it says phrase, that will be whatever you name the checklist, but all the options underneath will remain the same as the previous checklist that you've added. So you can add things super fast to the digital version. So again, that seems to be the plus side of having a digital practice journal in Trello. You can set everything up. It might take a couple of hours to set up, but moving forward in the future, you can reuse things, and it's just like 1 or 2 clicks to make adjustments instead of writing out an entire notebook by hand. So it could be a little bit faster for you if you're really pressed for time, and if you don't mind the digital aspect. And the next column is sight reading. Again, I made 1 card for the entire book. And then I made a checklist per composer and then a item on that checklist per piece for the excerpts. And I just go all the way down. I always have to giggle when I see Humperdinck. Okay, and then the next list is reading. So these are books that I like to read that are musically related, whether it's about a composer, musicianship, practice habits, anything that's going to help further my education, or even teaching and pedagogy. So there are a couple books that I have listed on here, and I just make a card per book, and it's just a reminder. I can check it off. It replaces my reading list in my practice journal, my analog practice journal. You can't see me, but by the way, I'm doing air quotes for analog practice journal. And the next is my completed column. So anything that I don't want to leave on the list that I can move over there. For example, like the etudes or the sight reading, I'm probably not going to repeat those as review like I would with scales and the Suzuki review pieces. So I can move that over to completed if I want. And then the completed column, after a while, will have a list of things that you've already done. So you can use that as a tool to help you remember what you have done, or if you had done something previously, or if it's been in there for a while, if you want to go back and review it, there it is. So it's just a place to house everything that you don't want to archive or delete, but you don't want to keep out in your kind of working tabs on this Kanban board. Next up is goals. So this is just where I house my cards for the rest of the year. I went ahead and set that up. I've got spring, summer, fall. I've already added the due dates. There's nothing in them. I just set up the cards because, again, it's very easy to copy a card. So I can click on a card, I can click these dots, and I can click copy card, and it will copy everything on that card. But again, it gives you the option to change the name. So if I wanted to make another one really quick for the next upcoming quarter, then all I have to do is change the name. Now, if you have already added in your goals, of course, those will be copied. So I'm a big fan of making templates, and Trello does allow you to make templates. You can take a card and set it as a template card. And then it puts a little label on the bottom of the card, like where you see May 31st, 2021. It'll put a little label there that says template. So it's easy to see so you don't accidentally start adding things to your templates. You can even create another list to put templates in so that there's no confusion and no mix-up. So my goals I can house there. And then in my lists, I have a spot for brain dump. So I like to have that in my analog journal where I come up with any ideas or any additional goals that I can't add to my current goal list or to another goal list because they're already full. So I only allow 3 goals per quarter to make sure I'm not putting too much on my plate and I can actually accomplish something. And then I have another list for strings. So this is my strings log. So you can see down here, I have attached where I bought the strings from. So if I want to buy them again, I can just click on here and it will take me to the Amazon. So I could purchase them again. And it's a good reminder of what I put on last. And then since I just set this up and I didn't set it up when I put the strings on back in November, it has the date of 3 days ago, but it would probably have the date that you added them on. So once you put them on, then you can just make a note right in here in your Trello that you changed the strings, and then you'll have a date so you know when you put your new strings on last. My repair log can work the same way. I can add information about when repairs are done. And then same thing with purchases. Okay, so really quick, if you want to add a new list, this is pretty easy to do in the iPad version. You just click Add List. And then there it is. And then Add Card. I just tap down. And then there's my card. The nice thing about the desktop version, or even this, but it's for me faster on the desktop laptop version, is you can create a whole bunch of cards. So when I created my list for scales and arpeggios, all I had to do is write A major and then hit enter. And then I started typing D major, enter. And every time I hit enter, it just brought up a new card. So it's not like you have to keep touching the mouse and then back to the keyboard, back and forth. You can just literally type, enter, type, enter, and then just quickly type down your list, but it separates each item on that list into an individual card. It's really nice. See, I have this color coding going on. That would be the label. So right here, I have book 1 because A major scale is in Suzuki book 1, so it's easy to reference. And then you can create all these different labels. So I have all through book 10. So that helps me organize. Again, remember guys, I review all book 1 pieces in January, so I can mark them all with the red book 1 label. So as I'm going through the list, it's easier to see when I am supposed to complete that piece. And then as far as scales, again, if I mark the color, the label, the color, I can say, oh, the 3-octave A major scale. Which book is that in again? Oh, I don't know. And then I have that book 7 label on it. So if I wanted to look it up, then I know which Suzuki book to go to. All right, guys, that is my Trello practice notebook. The digital version. Again, I probably won't use it myself. I just wanted to set it up because I thought it was a great idea and show you how I would set it up if I were interested in a digital practice journal. For me, I'm not into this digital stuff so much. I just don't feel well when I spend so much time on the devices. I definitely need quiet, unplugged time, lots and lots of it. It really reminds me of The Princess Bride. Do you guys remember this scene?
I've just sucked 1 year of your life away. How do you feel? Interesting.
Okay guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share it with anyone you think might find it interesting, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye!